the head is back from the machine shop, and I was just dropping in the valves. I have it all cleaned off now. Well, I need another clean once everything's done, but it's mostly cleaned off. So we have the valves here. So that's 8 and 7. So 7 and 8. So all we do is clean them off, then dip them in slick 50 and drop them into the guides. So I have the Billis Dynamic dual valve springs. They actually come with a new retainer and everything. The little retainer. Very nice setup. So we've got all the valves in apart from one. So we'll just show you how we do it here. You have your valve seal here. So I use a 10mm 12-point socket, and it just pops right in, like so, and then hop her down, and then here, Adam, you got to tap it down. You just tap it down then. Right, go on. You hear then when it hits the button, and that's it. Then we turn her over, put a little lube on the valve, and then just slide the valve in then, like that, and then put her back down, and get your valve springs and retainer. Pop it in, pop your cotter pins in then as well, like so, and then get someone's help because these are stiff. So we'll put it in now. You set up the camera this side. So, as you can see here, these holes are tighter than the rest. So that's for the center coolant passages. And at the front. So I'm just going to widen these ones out to 5.5mm, just to get more flow between these two pistons, because this will be your third piston, your fourth piston, which will see the most heat anyway. So now, they're the same size, and we'll leave these ones because that will restrict it to the front, because the water pump's at the front, so it has less hassle pushing the water through the first one. I have the head in place here. I just torqued it down to 100 Newton meters to start with. So I popped in the injector loom as well. That just slides in from this side, and then to the bolts and tightens up. That's it. And then these all slide out like that. So I'm going to torque this down the rest of the way. I'll be torquing it to 170 Newton meters. So I got the buckets all put in there. I just throw the cam in on top. And see, I put the bearings in as well. And it's very important when you're putting the bearings in that little hole lines up with the slot. Otherwise you won't get any oiling. So then I put the bearings into the caps and put some sealer onto the edges. So these will be the three centre ones, and the two outside ones have the little pad for putting the sealant on. So these are all numbered, and it's very important to put them back in the right numbers. So 5 would be the 5th one away from the time outside. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'll be the end one. So I'll try to put it on here. One hand. Oh, just drops on like that. So these, there's no hole for oiling, so it doesn't matter. The slot won't line up with anything. Don't worry about that. Obviously you have to have these slots lined up as well, otherwise the bearing won't go in properly. And this one, as you can see there, if it'll load or focus, there, number 3. So that'll be the 3rd one here. You can just drop that on a bit. And this one is number 2. So you can drop that one on there. And then number 1. Like so. And then number 4. So that's them all in place there. So we just put in the bolts and we'll torque them down. There is a sequence on the torque. I can't remember what it is, but I'll have a look. And I'll put that on time lapse. So we have the spec here. So the spec is camshaft carrier cap, 8 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. And use new bolts as well. So that's very important because these are stretch bolts. And they'll either break the bolt or the bolt will break when the engine's running if you don't replace them. They're only €30 I think from Volkswagen, genuine ones. I've dropped the injectors in there. I have new seals on them and all. I actually got the brothers to drill these out to M8, which is what I had on the old head as well. It stops them moving about as much. So I torqued them to probably 27 Newton meters instead of the usual stretch bolt torque, because they're 12.9 head or 12.9 grade bolts. So to align the injectors, they're only just sat in loose now, so you can twist them around. So to align them, you have to measure from the edge here across to the edge here. So that should be 65.6 for the first, and they are for the fourth, sorry, and then 153, and then 245, and 333 for the last one, for cylinder 1. So you measure them all off this edge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then push them down with your hand. Don't tighten them in with the bolt or you'll damage the seals. So push them all in by hand then, and then you can tighten the bolt. Another thing I forgot to mention as well is either don't have your crank pinned and just pull it back a bit, or make sure this is vertical when you're tightening down the cam caps, otherwise you'll tighten a valve into a piston and you could be in trouble then. But I usually leave it locked on cylinder 1 when I'm putting on the head. So that's top dead center for cylinder 1 and 4. And then just leave the cam facing directly up and you won't have any issues that way. And she's all tightened up and torqued now, so I'll just hop these in, and I can hop in the rocker cover or rocker arms, torque all them up, and put on or set the lash as well. So set the lash, I'll show you that when I'm doing it. And then we can put on our cam and our cam sprockets, and put on a timing belt and put on all the ancillaries and whatnot and get it ready to go in. Timing here. I have all the rocker arms in. I don't have the injector lash set yet. I will show you that after I do the time belt. But these engines are really easy to time up, so I'd usually leave that on top dead center for piston 1 and 4 when I'm putting the head on, so I know that's right anyway. But if not, you could just pop up an injector or a glow plug and pop a screwdriver in and turn it until it gets close to the top, and then use your mark then on this, on the crank pulley then, to line it up the rest of it. And obviously you want cylinder 1 and 4 on top dead center, so it will be either of those you take the injector on. And then for the cam, we already had the keyway facing up. It's just a matter of putting on the cam sprocket then, and just turn it a little bit until you can fit in the timing tool. Now I did have a bit of an issue where someone had damaged the threads on it, or damaged the head on it, so I wasn't able to get the timing tool in. So I had to just drill out the very tip of it to 6mm again. It should be 6mm to start with, but just the top of it was about 5mm or 5.5mm from whatever damage was there. So drilled it out and she's good now. So I'll just put the timing belt on now with that loose. We'll leave that somewhere. The cam sprocket's somewhere in the centre there. And leave all the bolts loose so it can move around. You do your fine tuning after that if you don't get it bang on the first go. And then we just have the tensioner. Sorry with the glare now. We just have the tensioner then loose. Water pump in obviously. We don't put on the idler pulley until after the looks a bit old new kit. But yeah, you don't put that on until after you put on the belt because it makes it a lot easier. But you put it on before you tension it. So I'm just going setting the injector lash here. So you want to back loosen this nut and then back this out pretty much all the way. Just so you want it still touching, so you still want the ball touching the top hat. So basically all you do then is you have exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust. You can see the intake lobe here. So it's exhaust, intake. So you want to line that up with the center of the rocker shaft here. So just turn her over. Good compression here. So that's her lined up there now. Now all you do is you get don't break your phone. So you get a 6mm and a 10mm. Well, 6mm really is all you need if you have a proper Allen key, but I can't find them, so that's an 18 spanner then. That goes onto the nut. So make sure the nut's well loose. So what you're gonna do, so I have to do this with one hand now. Basically, all you do, tighten her in till she stops. Now don't put any pressure on it. So just tighten it in, it's loose all the way. Keep tightening. That's it, stop there. So you don't want to pull on it hard now. So all you do then is flick it around, and then we'll go 180 degrees back. And then you tighten up your nut. And that's your lash set then. Then you do that for each cylinder. And it's important to remember that exhaust, intake, and then it switches intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust. I'm going to go ahead and get that finished. So I got the engine all back together now. Just have to put on the fuel tandem pump and the coolant flange. And then it's, and then the flywheel and the clutch as well. And then she's ready to go in. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just make a few more bits as well for the turbo setup, and that's it. I just have the belt left there, so I know where it is. The power steering pump has to go on yet, but that's still on the car, so that goes in when the engine goes in. Have it all tensioned as well, and all you do is put an Allen key, 6mm Allen key in there, swing it around clockwise until this arrow fits into that window, and then tighten this up to 20 Newton meters plus 45 degrees, and that's it then. Then you can tighten up these to 25 Newton meters, and the lower pulley is 20 Newton meters. And that's it, so.